So another very characteristic part of a diatom is its frustral. The frustral is its shell. It's made of silica, which is the same stuff that like glass is made out of. So they basically have these little glass shells. That's why sometimes you look at them, they almost look like little glass beads under a microscope. They have two halves of the frustral. There's like kind of a larger half and a smaller half. They fit together almost like Tupperware, where again you got like the lid and you got like the main body. So it's kind of like this from the side. They also have these oil droplets that they use to help prevent sinking. Again, we kind of talked about this in lab, where yeah, the oil is less dense than water, so it helps make them a little more buoyant, makes them not sink as easily. When they reproduce, it's kind of cool. It can be either sexual or asexual. So, sexual reproduction, they're going to make an egg, they're going to make sperm, and they're going to create a new genetically unique individual. But a lot of diatom reproduction is actually asexual, where they are basically cloning themselves. The way they do this is they actually basically break the two halves of the Tupperware apart. So they got the bottom half, the top half. They break those two halves apart, and each half forms a smaller, like little lower or upper half. So you can see out here where both of them form a smaller half. And now you have two cells, and you can do that again. Then you have four cells. You can do it again, have eight cells. And so and then over time, they'll kind of grow up and they'll become back to like kind of the original size. But if you're in an area where diatoms are reproducing really rapidly, we call that a bloom. Not only diatoms, but basically any microorganism that like reproduces rapidly, we call it a bloom. In a bloom situation, diatoms can actually start getting like very small if they're like reproducing. So they're getting smaller and smaller every time. So you can end up in an area where there's a bunch of like pretty small diatoms all over the place because they've recently been like really rapidly asexually reproducing. This can happen like in a high nutrient situation. They also will be smaller sometimes because they've already used up all the silica in the area. And without silica, they can't build frustrals, so they'll kind of stay small because they can't keep growing, so they don't have silica to keep making their frustral. Next group we're going to talk about are dinoflagellates. Dinoflagellates we also looked at in lab last time. They are also protists. They are unicellular. And they have these little grooves along their bodies a lot of the time, and they have two flagella. One flagella is kind of wrapped around their body, and the other is kind of sticking out like a little tail. And they use these for movement, so they're able to swim around a bit. They also have these plates on the outside of their body, these kind of hardened plates to help protect them. And these are made of cellulose, and they're called the theca or theca. I'm actually not sure how it's pronounced. I think it's theca. So they are the theca on the outside, made of cellulose. So they also have a shell similar to dinoflagellates, but it's not made of silica, it's made of cellulose. These guys are almost entirely marine. There's a few species in freshwater, but the vast majority of dinoflagellates you find in the ocean. Dinoflagellates can be important producers, especially in warmer water areas. They tend to do pretty well in warm water. There are some that are symbiotic with other organisms. So, for example, in coral reefs, reef building corals are symbiotic. It's another obligate mutualism with a group of dinoflagellates called zooxanthellae. And they basically actually have these little pockets in their bodies to house the zooxanthellae. The zooxanthellae provide them with food, and the coral provides the zooxanthellae with like a place to live and protection and things like that. And again, they will actually both die without the other. So the coral has to have these zooxanthellae. Some of them are parasites. Oh, I misspoke earlier. It wasn't a bacteria that caused these sores on the fish. It was these dinoflagellates. These guys up here will sometimes cause disease in things like fish as a parasite. And some are bioluminescent, which is one of my favorite things about dinoflagellates. So there are areas where you'll have a dinoflagellate bloom, or they'll kind of get concentrated due to uh, physical oceanography effects. They'll get kind of concentrated in an area, and it'll create this effect where anytime you move or disturb the water, they light up. So you get some like you can take some really cool photos and video. So like this is a photo where all the little dinoflagellates are lighting up on the beach. This actually might be a zooplankton one, but that's all right. Here you can see this person. This is actually a person riding a bike through the water. So there it is. There's a person running through the same water. So again, all this light is being generated by dinoflagellates. And then lastly, here is someone like not wakeboarding, but getting not water skiing, waterboarding, I guess waterboard. No, that doesn't sound right. They are getting pulled by a boat on a board. And again, you can see the water lighting up with those dinoflagellates. So very cool that they are bioluminescent. So next I'm going to ask you, being bioluminescent is not a zero energy cost thing. It actually costs a decent amount of energy to be bioluminescent. So what do you think is the purpose of this bioluminescence? Why are these dinoflagellates lighting up when the water is disturbed? So go ahead and write your answer below.